everybody. This is Matt Harris with Verado. Today we have one of our first returning guests, Jason Nyhus from Shopware. He was so awesome the last time we had him come back. We got into some conversations about digital sales room, sales team enablements, B2B, blah, blah, blah. I thought, well, let's invite him back. And let's do a deeper dive on digital sales room. So welcome, Jason.
Thank you so much. And I'm honored to be the first repeat guest on the pod. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
So digital sales room. Obviously, you've done some research on it. What intrigued you about digital sales rooms? And then I'd love to do an introduction and kind of give you the overall talk track of what we talk about with merchants.
Okay. So I see there being a difference between B2B and B2C in terms of implementation strategy and customer and the merchant needs or the business needs, right? So B2B is a lot of times sales team driven and not necessarily marketing driven. And it's not so much about new customer acquisition. It's usually existing customers. And so what you're doing is you're trying to enable a relationship-based form of selling and a pre-existing sales team to help increase order flow, efficiencies, and overhead. So essentially make that, instead of removing that relationship or replacing it with some kind of technology or tool, make that relationship even better. Make that relationship even stronger. Make it easier for the sales rep. Make it easier for the buyer. And it's really just an enablement solution. And when you started talking about digital sales room, and I was thinking about the path that we're all going on to make B2B e-commerce better, a light bulb went off and I'm like, this is perfect.
Fabulous.
So that's why I wanted to have you back, because it kind of fits everything we've been talking about with Verado.
You said it so perfectly, Matt. You know, the reality of it is I've been in e-commerce 25 years, and literally every year, everyone's planning about next year's the big year for B2B in the context of commerce. And I had this moment where I kept thinking, why does it never come? Why is it free beer tomorrow with regards to the B2B commerce opportunity? And it struck me that most companies are solving a different problem than the one the merchant's trying to solve. Most technology companies.
That's right.
And so most technology companies take a look at technology or complexity and say, we can solve all this by creating these software applications and organizing the data and building these integrations. We can solve for workflows and payments and everything in between. But the real value in B2B is in the relationship side of the selling. And this is where the rep knows the customer, might know the kids and the family, has sold to them for years, knows what motivates them and what doesn't, and really just speaks their language. Sometimes it's more about the Coke and a joke than it is about the how polished the website is. In fact, I was at this event a couple of weeks ago, and everybody who walked up to our booth told me they didn't need e-commerce, but told me they had sales reps, told me their website sucks, told me they need a better portal, told me they need more automation, but none of them thought they needed e-commerce. And so there's a little bit of a divide in the way that the world is talking about B2B and the big opportunity. And so that's why we built the digital sales room. This story Matt, this connects to exactly what you said, I believe.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback on that too, because there's a generational change happening. If you tell somebody who's a baby boomer who might be in their 60s, hey, meet me on this Zoom meeting, they would be like, oh man, can't we just be in person? Can't you come by my office? If you tell a millennial, come by my office, they're like, can't we do a Zoom link? Like, why do I have to get in my car and drive over? I don't even have a car, right? So there's a completely different set of expectations with the most important buying group, which is the younger buying group. Like, if you're trying to satisfy a boomer mentality now, not to disparage boomers, but you're going to lose the future.
That's right.
The future, the expectations that are coming at you is that I want this to be virtual. I want it to be easy. I want it to be seamless. I don't want to disengage with my relationships. I don't want to lose, the people that I've been working with, but I want to make it easier and faster.
100%. And so that's a perfect segue. So most e-commerce technology companies today, when they talk about the consumerization of B2B, what they're really talking about is building you a portal that has standardized processes, that introduces channel conflict and actually has something that your sales reps now view as competition. It allows customers to self-service, and there's value there. And we have a portal offering that's really powerful as well. But the honest truth is, it's probably the easy 10%, meaning of a company's revenue, maximum 10% is going to come from this automation and consumerization of B2B. The real potential is in what we're calling the hard 90. And the hard 90 is giving the reps tools that allow them to make more money. And what do I mean by that? You said it perfectly. A rep probably has 50 named accounts. And of their 50 named accounts, they will make or miss their number on 10 of them. That means that a company 11 through 50 is underserved. And when you talk to the sales reps, they say, I don't have time, or they're too small, or I can't travel there because it's not close to anything. There's a whole bunch of reasons why customers 11 through 50 are underserved. And so we built the digital sales room to attack the hard 90, but more importantly, customers 11 through 50. If you're going to hit your numbers on customers 1 through 10, keep doing it. You don't need the digital sales room. Okay. And most technology companies don't have that view. They view it more like a CRM. It's a mandate. Everybody has to use it. And that's not the path to success. You're going to have modern, younger, next generation customers, and you're going to have the baby boomer customers. They both want different experiences. Digital sales rooms is another tool to address the full landscape of your customers. Okay. Does that make sense before I move on to kind of telling you more?
Totally. That's a great way to put it. Love it.
Perfect. So what is the digital sales room? So the digital sales room conceptually is modeled after telehealth. And in the North American market, telehealth is almost in every hospital and physicians in North America. But it's only used about 25% of the time. And when it's used for good reason. It's efficient. They have all of your data. Seeing the doctor eye to eye will give you the satisfaction and the experience you want. And so for 25% of the time in North America, telehealth works. So picking that model and saying, how do we create an experience that brings together all of the past purchase history, all the power of e-commerce, the connection back to the CRM, the ability to bring presentations like PowerPoints or videos or PDFs, as well as the ability to be face-to-face in the same moment, in the same experience. And so we took that inspiration, we tied it all together in a thing we call the digital sales room. Now, I'll introduce it to you in a second, but there's multiple flavors as to the way you can engage with a digital sales room. The first is a pre-curated session. And one of the most popular segments we're selling this into is distributors. And distributors have almost endless aisles of products, hundreds of thousands of SKUs. And so to send someone just to a flat website is like sending them a phone book, telling them to pick out the products they want. So what a pre-curated session does is allow the rep to take the 50 items that they may want or some number thereof and pre-curating it. These are the things you bought in the past. These are the things I think you might like in the future. These are the promotions and discounts you're eligible for. And you can send it to them as a link that brings up a store that is purpose-built just for them. Okay? Comes with their payment types, their promotions, their terms, all those things. And that, for a lot of reps, is enough. However, there's also this ability to do a rep-guided session. And in this rep-guided session, it takes the pre-curated session and connects it with the people together. And that's what I'm going to show you. The third is a hybrid solution, which people can put in store to do things like endless aisle and other really cool stuff. But I'm going to focus on number 2. Ready for me to show it?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So this is the digital sales room, a guided session. At the top is what the client sees, and at the bottom is what the sales rep sees. The first thing you'll notice is it pops open with a presentation first, and it's talking about the spring or fall line. Then they dig right into it. And you can see, first and foremost, these are two independent sessions. Okay. They can both scroll independently. They can look and search and discover anything they want. And what the customer is actually doing right now is saying, I'm demonstrating preference. The ultimate goal is to create a bit of a funnel. So they took the catalog down from what was 50,000 SKUs to something that was multiple hundred. And now through the process of talking, they're going to winnow it down to something that is more manageable. So right now they're going through a process of selecting preference. I like these colors, these styles, these sizes, and they're using the thumbs up, the thumbs down, or even the add to cart to demonstrate it. What's also interesting on the right, you can see, is the rep has GodView. What is GodView? GodView basically says, I know what products are manufactured where, I know what margin is on each, so I can determine where my commissions are going to get paid. I can see inventory availability, size, materials, any element the merchant wants to surface for the rep, they can put it here so that they can drive their behavior. So in a way, it functions as a sales enablement tool as well, because it helps the rep be more efficient and effective. So what you see here is a really B2B-like buying experience where they're selecting the number of each size for each of the shoes and kind of putting them in the cart. What you're now also seeing, if you look at the guide view, is the customer has said, hey, I really like these low-cut shoes. And so what the rep has done is an instant listing. He's going out to the bigger catalog with the hundreds of thousands of SKUs, and he's pulling these, a subset of the catalog, into this experience. This allows the customer to have something they didn't think they wanted, but now do need. Okay. And so it's a really useful use case to continue to keep the view small, to keep the customer focused and moving through the journey. At any time, they can obviously ask questions, they can live chat, and all of these things are being stored as actions inside of Shopware, which then can be fed back into your CRM. You can see now in this experience, the customer's at, I think, a total of 6 shoes that are now they want to purchase. And so they're going through the process of actually selecting these shoes to place to the order and place the transaction. This is predominantly a B2B use case. This just happens to be the largest shoe distributor in Europe who's using this capability. That's why we show it. Most people can't figure out that it's B2B, but I promise it is.
Yeah, and this could easily be, plumbing parts or tools or hardware.
And we got a bunch of those customers too. I could show, but this is the one that's a video I can show today.
Got it. And then when you said you could send it to CRM, what's that? Explain that for a second.
So
the integration.
Yeah, piece. So one of the benefits of Shopware is we're the most modern commerce platform on the internet. So at scale. And so what that means basically is we've got everything built with native webhooks so that if a customer starts a guided session with us and has some preferences, like they like these 10 products, they added these 4 items to the cart, well, Shopware can send that information via webhooks back into whatever CRM you're using. And so that's really useful for you because when the customer wants to pick that session back up, not only is it stored within Shopware that we can continue to move it through, but it's also stored in the CRM. And so if the manager of the sales team wants to see, hey, how are these guided sessions going? And the reps who are using guided sessions, what's their performance against quota versus reps who aren't? And so it really allows you to take full advantage of what the CRM is meant to do, but it augments it to give the sales tools more capabilities.
I see. So you could send some of that data back to like a Salesforce, and someone has like a sales team supervisor can see that data now in Salesforce and can do an assessment based on that and all the other sales initiatives that are going
exactly. On. And so today, if you visit a customer physically, the only thing you can really find in your CRM, Matt, is, hey, visited customers, here's my notes, right? With this, you get full transparency around that session. So you're going to get a significant data advantage on the performance of your rep in these moments as opposed to what you don't see when they visit a customer in person.
Yeah, it's great. It basically turns it into kind of a sales-enabled, digital showroom. Like you can take, instead of physically carrying your shoes around in a suitcase in the back of your trunk, you can And then you're not limited by the size of your trunk.
Exactly.
too,
Exactly.
Right. Like you can have infinite amount of products to share.
Yep.
So it solves a lot of problems.
And if you think about the role, a lot of these companies have, bifurcated it into inside sales and outside sales, and whatever the description is. Well, inside salespeople by definition can't travel. And so a tool like this for an inside sales team almost levels the playing ground with what the sales reps can do in the field.
Right.
And so, yeah, like I said, if you can hit your number by taking this trunk of shoes to all these retailers and hitting your number, great. The whole point is customers 11 through 50 probably are being underserved by you, which means their potential to be served by your competition. And so there's a whole bunch of business benefits of using a tool like this to create more capacity for salespeople.
Awesome. Yeah, this is very cool. Very cool.
There's two things that should matter for a merchant around digital sales room. Number one, no other commerce platform has this. This is a Shopware built utility. And so we do sell it standalone. So it can work with other commerce platforms. That's point number one. Point number two, it is included in Shopware licenses. So if you buy Shopware, you get this at no additional charge. So we really want the world, especially in B2B, to have better utility to help the sales reps make more money. And there's two ways to get it. So that would be the last salesy part of the story. I know we're not supposed to be salesy, but that's how you get it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I see it as it increases the capacity of the salesperson to reach more people more efficiently. It's probably going to increase, I'm guessing, the order volume potentially, right? So even if it's the top, if you want to help the top 10% or 20%, 1 through 9, like you were saying, or 1 through 10, you might be able to just move the needle with them too, to just make it a little bit easier.
That's exactly right.
For them to buy.
Yep.
And then get into some kind of cadence of buying that doesn't require a lot of manual effort or a lot of, face-to-face meetups, et cetera.
You got it. Change management.
Yeah.
This is why the role the agencies play are so critical with a tool like this.
Yeah.
Because what this is a bunch of clay that can be molded into exactly what you want. You could use this as we just brought on a new customer and we want to teach them how to interact with our brand and our products, and you use the digital sales room almost as an enablement thing. You could use this as a value prop to your distributor. If you're a brand or a manufacturer, you could actually use this to give to your distributors to help them sell your products. I mean, so in the hands of a really creative agency who knows how to architect really great solutions, this becomes a tool for many jobs, not just the one I showed you today.
Yeah, and what I also like is it's an incremental change. It's not a drastic overhaul of what you're doing. You can still keep doing what you're doing. This just gives you that kind of incremental benefit that might put you on a roadmap where a lot of your order flow is now coming in through this, and a lot of your buyers have been trained on the platform, and now that's become kind of automated. Yes. So it increases not just the overhead for the distributor, but also the overhead for the buyer, right? So just streamlining things, and kind of meets these B2B businesses where they are today. Like, this is a solution I think you could sell them today. Okay, I get it. I see what you're trying to do. Yes, I think we can get started on this and not, blow up our sales department or get a lot of people mad at us. Like, we're just trying to help, incrementally and build those efficiencies. And it's interesting. It's interesting that, like, the telemed example, like, you would have never thought, right? Telemed, how it's going to apply to B2B e-commerce, but it totally makes sense because it's a relationship, just like you're having with your physician.
That's exactly right. So we're trying to augment the relationship, not replace it with digital. This would be an interesting question for you, Matt. How many times when you're in these B2B e-commerce projects does the VP of sales actually get super involved because they view the current thinking around B2B commerce as competition to his field or her field?
Every time. It's very common. They're what we would call the gatekeepers. They're protecting their domain.
Yes.
This is their livelihood. And so if you start with them and you get them excited, you've just removed a gate to keeping you from getting this solution sold. And that's, we talk about that all the time in those early engagements, is like, find out who wants the solution, find out who doesn't want the solution or potentially doesn't want the solution, and make sure that person that doesn't want the solution is involved in those conversations early.
Exactly.
If you can pull that off.
Yep. But this is what's really cool is B2B commerce doesn't necessarily just have to compete with your sales rep. This levels the playing field. This is giving the sales reps better tooling to take advantage of those relationships and the sweat equity they've put in already. So it's basically saying, no, e-commerce doesn't compete with you. It actually is trying to help you. And so when we can get to that narrative with the VP of sales or the chief revenue officer, the light bulb goes on and they say, now I care about commerce. Whereas before, you guys just don't understand what my team's going through to try and sell our products. So it's a mind shift and it's a paradigm shift, but it's been very, very effective.
It's also interesting because when we get new leads coming in, or we're starting to engage with a client and get on a roadmap of building a large integrated B2B solution, we will eventually almost hit every department in that company.
Exactly right.
Because we have to work with everybody. Because you're looking at operational pieces and you're looking at with the ERP, you're looking at finances with the accounting systems. If you have to integrate with that, shipping, and that. But what's interesting is the tip of the spear. Sometimes the department that gets you in the door is marketing, because these businesses will go and say, hey, we need a e-commerce agency. The marketing company is the one that knows about e-commerce, or they think they're the ones that know about e-commerce because of the marketing side of e-commerce, the customer facing. So you'll come in through the marketing teams, and then the next thing you know, what you're really selling them on is a sales enablement solution. And it's kind of an interesting shift between one department and the other. Eventually, you're going to get them all, but we're seeing in mid-market some of the distributing companies and manufacturing companies that are strictly B2B.
Yep.
They don't have marketing departments too. It's kind of interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah.
It's just sales.
Well, what's fascinating about it, and this is why I created the visual, the easy 10 versus the hard 90, is because when most people talk about B2B commerce, they're talking about the easy 10. And so the power of a great agency and a product like Digital Sales Room is it gives you the ability to actually have a meaningful dialogue around the hard 90. And that's where real growth can be unlocked. That's where real efficiency is there to be gained. It's the fattest part of the market, which is why we're aiming at it.
Yeah. And, do your numbers. What if we could double the sales coming in from your bottom 90?
Exactly.
What would that look like?
Exactly. Yeah. And the other aspect of this is, and because we sell it to distributors, we have this superpower to be able to charge a license fee for our software as opposed to a revenue share. Distributors, as you know, trade on very thin margins, and anything that erodes it from OpEx is just a straight up loser. Doesn't matter if it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. If it's a rev share, they can't afford it. You just can't pay out of OpEx.
Well, and that's that asset versus liability thing I was talking about. If you have a flat cost on this asset and then you're going to put a lot of your own resources into it with a partner and you're going to train your team on it, you want this to be a tool that you can own and you can kind of control the cost of that tool. If it's just going to scale up with you, then it just becomes a pure, overhead. It just a pure expense, not something that you're going to nurture and actually be able to see incremental increased value in this platform instead of, what I'm saying?
Totally. Yeah. The cost of commerce should go down as you scale, not linear as you scale. Yeah. Otherwise,
that's why I don't like this idea of rev share.
I don't either.
Like they talk rev share. And it's like, why am I sharing my revenue with you? You're a tool.
Yes.
I'm not giving 10% of my work to my saw or my, it's just a tool.
Yes. I'm not paying Microsoft a little bit more because my business is performing. I'm not paying more for Office. I'm not paying more for my ERP system.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's the big disconnect. I think the way that software companies have attacked this market. Yes, it's great for software companies, but it's bad for merchants and distributors. And so that's why we're kind of taking a different tact. And that's why we built Digital Sales Room. That's frankly.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. That's perfect. I think that's a perfect place to end it. Jason, perfect, man. Love having you on the podcast. We'll see you around the bend. I know we've got some meetups. We'll be doing some face-to-face.
Absolutely.
Maybe having a Stein together.
Let's do it. I'm looking forward to it.
All
Matt,
right,
thanks
man.
for having me, and thanks again.
All right, man. Take care.